Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. Ridge kisses Brooke and does CPR. According to Wednesday, August SIXS recap of The Bold and the Beautiful, Ridge Forrester kissed Brooke Logan and performed CPR before pledging to do things right. Ridge had to swim to an unconscious Brooke in the lake when Nick Marone passed out after falling from his boat. After dragging Brooke to another ship, Ridge received assistance getting her on board. Ridge tried to revive Brooke's lungs by doing chest compressions as she was no longer breathing. Brooke, meantime, noticed a dazzling light and thought she and Ridge were on a beach. Ridge gave Brooke a deep kiss after she eventually sputtered out water and returned to him. Ridge also pledged that they would do this right and that he would never again take Brooke for granted. As Katie Logan and Donna Logan Forrester talked about Brooke and the potential for Nick to pop the question, they became worried about her lack of social media activity and wished her well. At the Spencer estate, Liam Spencer persisted in discussing with Hope Logan the distinction between the angel Grace Buckingham and the filthy Reese Buckingham. On Wednesday's B&B episode, Grace pretended that Liam had a tumor by telling Finn that he actually had a brain bleed at the hospital. Giving Liam medications that would exacerbate his symptoms and encourage him to seek the false miracle therapy was part of that. After all the controversy surrounding Luna Nozoa, Grace told about how she sold Liam on the experimental treatment after discovering that Liam's father was affluent Bill Spencer. Finn was furious about all the suffering her deceit had caused, even though Grace exaggerated her sob story about the bookies who were threatening both her and her girls. Finn was even more irate about the entire affair because Grace had lied to him as well, regarding the $1 million and how Grace had compromised her morals. Finn lost his temper. But Liam was all right, Grace said, and she hoped Finn would agree to keep this information private. Grace pleaded for his quiet and urged him to forgive her for what she had done, but Finn objected to her asking him to cover for her. According to teasers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Finn will decide on that matter shortly. When Ridge calls off their engagement, Taylor breaks down, a setback for broken heart syndrome. According to previews on The Bold and the Beautiful, Taylor Hayes might lose it if Ridge Forrester calls off their engagement. Will Ridge's decision to choose Brooke Logan lead to a setback caused by broken heart syndrome? Fans of B&B will remember that some medical drama took center stage when Rebecca Budig made her debut as a Taylor recast. Before Grace Buckingham discovered that Taylor actually had broken heart syndrome, she thought she had heart failure. Ridge undoubtedly tried his hardest to assist Taylor in her recovery, but he is now going to cause her the greatest harm imaginable. Rather than honoring all of his commitments to Taylor, Ridge is ready to call it quits on their engagement and ruin her hopes for a happy ending. Taylor kept telling herself and everyone else that she genuinely thought Ridge would be devoted to her this time. Taylor may have secretly known that Ridge and Brooke would eventually reunite at some point. Even nevertheless, Taylor will find it difficult to accept that Ridge and Brooke still have a future together. After that crazy water rescue, Ridge kissed Brooke and Taylor will receive updates on all the chaos in Italy. It's possible that Taylor will inform Ridge that this can yet be resolved. It's easy to see Taylor acting as though Ridge was caught up in the moment when he saved Brooke and clinging to their connection out of desperation. But now that he nearly lost the love of his life, Ridge seemed to have made up his mind. It served as a stark reminder of Ridge's priorities, which are Brooke and Brooke. Taylor will still be devastated by the news, even though Ridge will undoubtedly apologize sincerely and make an effort to disappoint her in a kind manner. Is it possible that Taylor will suffer a setback similar to broken heart syndrome and collapse just in front of Ridge? Watch closely to watch how this destruction would impact Taylor, since it will just make Ridge feel worse about what he's causing her. In any event, spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful indicate that Taylor will need to figure out how to move on without Ridge now that he's focusing on Brooke once more. Liam is shocked when Finn orders Grace to come clean, and Lee and Sheila receive a startling revelation. Grace claims that she and her girls were being targeted by the bookies. What about Liam's daughters? Asks Finn. They might want more money, he notes. Grace begs to maintain her medical license because she is positive it won't occur. Don't tell anyone, please. Grace B&B. More. Susan Flannery's farewell. Finn shouts about her using Liam, but he has no idea who he is currently staring at. Grace reiterates that she was attempting to save her kids. She recaps what Reese did to Hope and Liam years ago, in case we forgot. She did the same thing, Finn informs her. She gave Liam the impression that he was dying. He cannot remain silent about this. Grace Finn B&B. Liam will be concerned that his cancer will return, so Finn advises Grace, "You need to confess." Grace begs for more time. She'll be imprisoned and lose her license. She cries that she would stop at nothing to keep him quiet. At last, Finn promises not to tell Liam, but psych, you are. Liam unpretentiously drops a bomb. Hope ends the call at Bill's house and tells Liam that Ridge saved Brooke from a boat accident in Italy. When the conversation shifts to Bill showing him love, Liam responds that he has shown that he would do everything for him in a variety of ways. Hope is shocked to learn that he wired Dr. Buckingham the $1 million he spent on the procedure as soon as she asked. Liam Hope B&B. Where is Luna? Sheila is gazing into space at Aiel Giardino. When Deacon finally catches her eye, she laments that Lee isn't responding to her. Why won't she let her pay her respects and let her know where Luna is? Deacon informs his wife that it's fortunate that Luna is no longer in their lives. The best course of action for her is to forget about this. Unaware of what is happening at Lee's, Deacon assures Sheila that her granddaughter will not return. B&B Sheila Deacon. She asks Luna to wait while stroking her hair at Lee's house. Lee acknowledges that her niece/granddaughter requires additional medication and says, "I won't let this be the end for you." She has to run to the hospital, but she doesn't want to leave her. She is committed to giving her the second opportunity that she ought to have long ago. Deacon now makes the decision at the restaurant that he doesn't want to add to Sheila's already existing suffering. Sheila is aware. She decides to find Finn and reminds him that Steffi is out of town while she strokes his face. But since the shooting, she believes they might get along. Deacon is amazed by this. Sheila needs to hear the voice of reason, he cautions. She will never be seen by anyone again. More. Bridget is set up by Ashley Jones. April, the lab tech, seems to inform Sheila that Dr. Finnegan has taken a leave of absence from the hospital as she enters Lee's empty office. Sheila cuddles up to April and asks if she can help her find Luna's remains. She also reflects that Lee may have been more impacted by Luna's passing than she initially believed. Lee is currently on her way to the hospital, leaving her home. Sheila B&B. April is prompted by Sheila to inquire about what they did with Luna's remains. April discovers there is no record when she checks the system. Sheila is ready to follow her out the door when Lee walks in. Medication spills out of Finnegan's handbag as they collide. Sheila begs Lee to tell her, "Where is my granddaughter?" as she rushes to get the medications. Lee B&B. Will Grace tell the truth? Hope is at Bill's house attempting to figure out why Bill wired Grace the money prior to the procedure. Finn and Grace enter at that moment. They start raving about how she saved Liam's life. But she wants to go because he has a guest. They owe her a great deal. Knowing that their daughters will lose their father made it difficult for her and Steffi, and Hope makes sure to share this with her. It's a miracle. Liam gives Grace credit for her bravery. Grace isn't worthy of it. "Go ahead, Grace," says Finn, "because you don't know what's actually happening here. Inform them. Tell Liam the truth about his brain cancer." Ridge Forrester's life was divided in two parts. Before Brooke almost drowned and after he, with shaking hands and a desperate heart, breathed life back into her lungs. The sun was just starting to set behind the Amalfi Coast cliffs when chaos exploded into destiny. Ridge was just a man attempting to save the one lady who had always held his soul in that moment. He was no longer a designer, a fiancé, or a man divided between two women. During what should have been a romantic evening cruise, Brooke had been thrown overboard by the crashing waves and disappeared beneath the surface, while Nick Marone lay unconscious on the deck of his boat after sliding on wet teakwood and banging his head on the mast. Ridge had been the only one remaining to save her. Ridge recklessly dived into the frigid Mediterranean, soaking, shirtless, and screaming her name into the wind. She chased the golden gleam of Brooke's hair as she fell into the deep like a dream. As Ridge kicked his legs harder and harder and dragged her body back toward the surface with trembling arms, memories of their life together, weddings in Palm Springs, intense breakups, and sad reunions flitted through his head like lightning. His heart was burning more intensely than his lungs. He muttered a prayer with each stroke. Not in this manner. Not her. Not now. Then, by some miracle, he managed to get her onto a nearby yacht that was anchored to the pier, and he started performing chest compressions with mechanical accuracy but emotional turmoil, counting each one in silent hope. She had blue lips. She barely had a pulse. "Logan, hurry up," Ridge said. "You dare not abandon me." Brooke Logan gulped up seawater, sputtered, and opened her eyes as Ridge's lips touched hers in a final breath of life. Not simply CPR, but the kiss of the man who recognized he had never stopped loving her, as if called forth by the sheer force of their relationship. There was no obligation in that kiss. It has nothing to do with history. The topic was home. Ridge said hoarsely, "I've got you," while Brooke blinked and gripped his wrist feebly. He truly meant it when he said, "I'll never let you go again." He held her in his arms as if she were made of gold and porcelain, wrapped her in towels, and held her face while uttering the words he ought to have said ages ago. "I will never again take you for granted. We will put things right. No more uncertainty. No more Taylor. Just us." The world paused at that point. Meanwhile, elsewhere in Los Angeles, terror and prophecy clashed across countries and conversations. After yet another argument with Hope Logan about trust, betrayal, and the difference between Dr. Reese Buckingham, the baby thief, and Grace Buckingham, the woman who had just saved Liam's life. But she hadn't. Liam Spencer paced the Spencer mansion like a man battling invisible demons. Not at all. Hope's forehead furrowed as Liam drank herbal tea, and admitted that he now viewed Grace as an angel instead of a criminal. There was something wrong with it. Grace was very refined, too tidy, too ideal. As Grace and John Finnegan engaged in a vicious battle of science, secrets, and shame at the hospital, the truth was coming apart like a badly stitched hemline. Finn had looked over Liam's MRI pictures, or, more accurately, the ones Grace had shown him, and his blood ran cold at what he found. "You feigned everything," he snarled in a low, menacing voice. Grace acknowledged it. She clarified. Bookmakers. Dangers. Desperation. Dangerous daughters. The sacrificing mother, she portrayed herself as, was someone who did something awful for a good reason. Finn, however, didn't buy it. "You gave him medication. He was ill because of you. You played God with a man's life and sold him a lie for $1 million. Unaware that Ridge had already made up his mind, with Brooke's heart in his hands and seawater on his skin. Donna and Katie back at the Logan estate argued about whether Nick Marone was going to pop the question and what that would mean for Ridge. The triangle of love that had plagued B&B for decades was coming undone. Brooke's longtime competitor and Ridge's other love, Taylor Hayes, would soon be caught off guard by a literal medical setback in addition to heartbreak. Broken heart syndrome, which Taylor had previously been diagnosed with, was now back with a vengeance. The dam inside of her will burst when she hears about Ridge kissing Brooke and saving her. It was cracked already. She clung to the engagement ring, which was getting colder by the moment, and said to herself, "He's mine." However, Taylor had always known deep down. Ridge had Brooke as his compass. Brooke's actual north was Ridge. Grace pleaded with Finn not to report her, claiming she could fix it, hide it, or just go. Finn decided he wouldn't protect her, but he also wouldn't ruin her. Not quite yet. He assured her that she would be the one to come clean instead. She had to be honest with Liam. Liam, who continued to think he was dying. Liam was unaware that his brain tumor was merely a result of Grace's machinations. "Tell him," yelled Finn, "or I will." While Grace was crying uncontrollably, Lee Finnegan was holding another secret. Luna was still alive. While brushing her hair and checking her vitals at home, Lee whispered to her asleep niece. "You will succeed," she assured him. Luna's biological grandmother, Sheila Carter, had been pleading with Lee for clarification, saying, "You have to." Sheila knew, but Deacon begged her to let it go. Luna was still there. She sensed it. Sheila tried to locate Luna's medical records at the hospital by charming a lab tech, but they were nowhere to be found. Sheila yelled, "Where is my granddaughter?" After she finally faced Lee and saw that she had spilled medication in her purse. Bill was in shock at the Spencer estate after Liam casually admitted that he had sent Dr. Grace Buckingham $1 million as soon as she requested it. Bill was unaware that he had just contributed to a scam. Stunned, Hope found it difficult to make sense of what had happened. "You didn't question it?" she inquired. "You simply gave her money." And just then, Finn and Grace entered. When Grace attempted to leave, Finn intervened. "Tell them," he said, his voice as icy as iron. Hope was filled with gratitude for all that Grace had done for their family. She was thanked by Liam. The guilt, however, was too much. "You don't comprehend," Grace muttered, shaking. Then, with Finn's eyes searing into her back, she turned to Liam and whispered the words that would break everything. "You have no idea what's really going on here. Cancer never struck you. I made it up. There would be seismic fallout. Bill's $1 million. Hope's emotional breakdown. Liam's mental disintegration. At the heart of it all were Ridge and Brooke, who were linked by tragedy and fate. As the paramedics came in Italy, Ridge kissed Brooke's forehead and held her hand. He declared, "We're heading home." "Together," he said, although he was aware that the true storm had not yet begun. Taylor would be heartbroken. There would be opinions among the Forresters. They would hunt the Buckinghams. Lee's secret would be revealed by Sheila. And Luna would soon recall everything when she woke up in a secret room. Ridge only saw Brooke for the time being, though, as the wind dried their tears and the waves pounded against the boat. He muttered, "We survived," and Brooke whispered back, "We always do," her eyes full of love and brightness. In Los Angeles, Grace's arrest, Liam's fury, Bill's retaliation, Taylor's collapse, Sheila's discovery, and a new chapter for Ridge and Brooke that would start not with another wedding, but with a kiss on the verge of death that reminded them both why they always end up back together were all part of the reckoning that was coming. Because genuine love never fades. Steffi receives unsettling news from Finn. Grace has been punished. Previews for The Bold and the Beautiful for the week of August 11th to 15th indicate that Grace Buckingham will have to accept her penalty. John Finnegan will also give Steffi Forrester some disturbing news, and Taylor Hayes will go through some hardships in the future. B&B fans will initially see the consequences of Grace's disclosure to Liam Spencer and Hope Logan. Grace's fake brain cancer scam and all the fear she has caused will surely make Hope and Liam very angry. It's true that Grace had her back against the wall because of all the dangers she was facing, yet she's still engaged in some flagrant lying. At some point, Finn is probably going to brief Steffi about Grace's egregious lies. Steffi should know that Liam was never really very ill, even if the phone conversation occurs off-screen. Bill Spencer would surely become angry when he finds out that Grace tricked him with this $1 million scam. Given that it looks like Katie Logan will also find out about Grace's actions, she ought to stand with Bill in the next episodes. Will Grace lose her medical license as a result of all of this? Will Grace be imprisoned or suffer another fate in the next episodes? Meanwhile, Daphne Rose will start to annoy Carter Walton and Hope Logan again. Since Hope will be distracted by all of this Grace issue, Daphne could be able to attract Carter Walton and even make another play on him. Brooke Logan will return home without Nick Marone after recuperating from a brief hospital stay after her waterfall in Italy. Naturally, Brooke should be stuck to Ridge Forrester like glue after his heroic rescue. As Ridge accepts that Brooke will always be his fate, Taylor will experience some devastation. Taylor's harsh blow, which will ultimately lead to the termination of her engagement and the postponement of her wedding, is drawing near. Keep watching the CBS soap opera The Bold and the Beautiful, since spoilers indicate that there will be some surprises and setbacks during the week of August 11th to 15th. Steffi just handed Liam a silver platter. Before Jacqueline McInnes would had to leave on maternity leave, Steffi Forrester and Liam Spencer were this close to reconciling on The Bold and the Beautiful. But the show has to go on, and Scott Clifton's character will need someone to rely on more than ever. I am really appreciative of Hope Logan. Is Bold and Beautiful going to have a reunion with Lope? Continue reading to discover out. Here are some spoilers for the upcoming events on BNB. Grace Buckingham acknowledges. This week on the CBS soap opera, Dr. John Finnegan will make Grace Buckingham admit to her cancer scam. We don't know how far she went to swindle the Spencer family of $1 million, which is the problem. The confession from Dr. Buckingham could lead to one of two things. Did Liam Spencer have cancer? Grace could have convinced Bill Spencer that he was dying so that he would pay her to save him. It may turn out that Liam is in really good health and has never had cancer. Since Grace hasn't actually removed the tumor and Liam is still dying, the latter could be the cause. Liam finds solace in hope. According to Bold and the Beautiful teasers, Hope Logan will sit with Liam Spencer this week as he discovers the heartbreaking truth that he was tricked. We will have to wait to find out Liam's prognosis since, even if he is in excellent health, he will still require help absorbing the shocking information. If he is still dying, he will also need someone to spend his final days with. BNB spoilers indicate that Hope will be there for Liam through every phase, regardless of the outcome. Will we be seeing Lope again? What about Carter Walton? Grace's breakdown, Lee and Sheila's deception, and Finn's discovery. There are spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful for Thursday, August 7th, 2025. Fans should expect Grace Buckingham's world to fall apart. Meanwhile, Lee Finnegan and Sheila Carter Sharp have an unexpected conversation. As you read on, let's talk about what's coming up in the CBS soap drama, John Finnegan's Discovery. Let's start by discussing John Finnegan. After Liam Spencer's brain tumor medical documents were removed, fans just watched Finn and Grace face each other. The male doctor has sensed that something is very wrong ever since Liam's miracle. Finn even went so far as to accuse Grace of creating Liam's brain tumor. How surprised Finn must have been when Grace came clean. Read this to find out what happened in the latest BNB episode. Begs Grace Buckingham. Grace is now trying to explain her situation. Finn is a fairly moral person who even acknowledges wrongdoing when it would be better for him to remain silent. It is clear that Grace's disclosure appalled him. However, Grace also made it clear that Reese Buckingham's creditors were now after her. In addition, Grace claims that they know where Paris and Zoe Buckingham live. The crafty doctor begged Finn to help her conceal the crime and to keep it a secret. Finn will not be able to do it, at least not right now. In a weekly teaser part, he drags Grace to Bill Spencer's house. The father isn't there, but Liam and Hope Logan are. At the last minute, Finn might be able to cover for Grace.